Hello, everybody. I'm Don Counts, and we are here at the Warrior exhibit in Fayetteville, Tennessee. And I have Linda Williams here. Linda, tell us who we have today.
Don, today we've got Mr. Mark McMellon. He served during Vietnam and he was in the Army.
That's correct,
And
yes.
we're excited to have you here with us today.
Well, thank you very much. I'm excited to be here and a little bit nervous.
Tell us a bit about yourself, where you grew up, and what led you into the military.
I was born and raised for the first 10 years in West Virginia. And we came down from West Virginia. We moved to Ohio with my father's job, who worked for Westinghouse. And then from Ohio, in the 1965, we came down to Huntsville, Alabama for the space and rocket boom and all that stuff. I graduated from Lee High School in '67. And shortly after that, I found college not to be what I wanted to do at the time. And so I joined the military, the Army. And I went in 1968. And from 1968, I trained over here for about a year. And then I went to Vietnam and spent a year to the day over there, one exact year to the day. And so came back home, went to college, met my wife, who is from Gurley, Alabama, and we've been married for 52 years. I have two boys. One of them just retired as a lieutenant colonel from the Air Force as a F-16 pilot.
Oh, wow.
So I'm very proud of my boys. My other boy has got 4 boys of his own, and he's very successful. Not military, but he's very successful. So very, very pleased with everything.
What made you decide to go into the service?
I was actually kind of lost. You know, I didn't really know what I wanted to do, and I wanted some adventure, a little bit of adventure. And so I did go. That's what I chose to do, is go into the military. And I got my adventure, and
Yes, you
I
did.
So that's the reason that I did it. But now, as far as making a career out of it, no, I didn't want to do that. Not after Vietnam. So I ETS'd out of Oakland, California in September of 1970 and made my way home, went back to college again, like I said, and ended up working for Kroger part-time. And then the next thing I know, 35 years later, I retired from Kroger as one of their store managers. So you just kind of go with the flow is how I've done it in my lifetime.
What did you do in the Army?
That's a story in itself right there. I volunteered for the draft is what I've done, which is a 2-year commitment. And so when I went into the Army, I was trained as an infantryman. 11 Bravo was my MOS. And I trained at Fort Benning, then Fort McClellan, and then back to Fort Benning for more training, and then from there to Vietnam. And so as I arrived in Vietnam, I'm 11 Bravo infantryman, and I'm in the 90th Replacement Battalion. That's where all of us came in over there. And in what they do on that is that is like a warehouse where the young men come in, and the different units over there that lost people, they need people, and they say, I need 16 people, or for the Big Red One, or for the 72nd, whatever. And so that one morning I was in the formation, ready to be chosen by whoever was going to take me. And Big Red One took me. So I go to the Big Red One. And
explain Big Red One.
1st Infantry Division.
Okay.
Big Red One, 1st Infantry Division. And they have a formation there ready to put us in the different field platoons. And we're there with our, armament ready to go. And they come out in the formation and says, is there anybody here that can type? Well, I took 2 years of typing in high school to be with the girls.
Of course.
And so they don't take your word for it, so they set me behind a typewriter for a test, immediate test. And if you've ever typed with your life depending on it, you can smoke a typewriter. And I did. I typed very well, 45, 50 words a minute with one error. And Sergeant Jeter says, I can use this man in my platoon, so I sat behind a typewriter for a year in Vietnam. Even though I'm trained killer.
Okay, can you tell us a little bit what your life was like over there? I mean, were you in barracks? Were you in tents?
No, it was not in tents. We were in what they call hooches, and it was really, it's a long building about like this right here, and you got a hallway in it, and you got bunks on each side. And then on the outside, it's screened. It's got a roof on it, and you're protected from the weather, and it's got screen around it because it never got cold over there. And then outside of the perimeter, outside of the building, they had 55-gallon oil drums filled with sand and dirt to keep from being shot at through the building. It was good. There's a lot of camaraderie over there. You come to love the people that you're with over there. It's not one of those sick kind of loves. It's they're your brother. And so you got along very well. Of course, you had a few fusses and stuff like that. But there was the bad thing about it was there's a lot of drugs that went on for a while there. And I didn't do part of that. I just thank God I didn't do a part of that. But as far as the work went, it was 12 hours on, 12 hours off. And I typed all kinds of different things, awards, decorations, reports, just so on and so forth. But it was, when we did have time off, we did get a Sunday off. And we'd probably have a big steak party, a big beer party or something like that. But it was good. There was fear. We still had to do our work, and we still had to do our guard duty at nighttime. So it wasn't a party, but it was, I don't want any more of it, but I wouldn't take anything for the memories.
Let's go back and talk about when you got into basic training and what did you have to do? Where'd you go for that and all that?
Basic training, I went to Fort Benning, Georgia. I don't know what it's called now since they changed the name of it. But we went to, the training there was, I think it was 12 weeks, I believe it was. And it was very rigorous training. It was good training. And I had no problem with the training because I was an outdoor person anyhow, used to tromping up and down the hills, hunting and so on and so forth. A lot of folks had trouble with it because they weren't physically fit for it. But the training was good. I excelled in my training. I met some good people. The drill sergeants they scare you to death. I think they could eat nails. They were good. They were tough. But then after we graduated from basic training, we did find out that they were human. But before that, we didn't think they were human.
That was their job.
That was our training. So from that, I went to what they call AIT, which is advanced training. I think it's advanced individual training. I always thought it was advanced infantry training, but it was my training, which was infantry again. But I kind of lucked out in that whole deal there because I became the company commander driver. So I drove the general around the whole time. And I didn't have to go through all that training. So I lucked out. I don't know, I think the good Lord was watching over me the whole time I was in there because he sure did take care of me.
Linda and I have talked to a lot of people from cooks all the way to the heavy military, but we haven't ever talked to a typist.
71 Bravo, typist.
So what's some of the stuff you typed and how important was it?
Well, it must have been important to the Army because we sure did a lot of typing. But what I did is I typed up awards and decorations. You know, like the commander would make put someone in for a Army Commendation Medal. Well, I would type the Army Commendation Medal up and make 77 copies. I don't know how many really, but we made lots of copies for everybody. And that's when I worked in awards and decorations. I worked doing that for my period of time as a clerk typist for the 1st Entry Division, Big Red 1. And then somewhere in early 1970, during the Paris peace talks, the Big Red 1 was sent home. And we all, when we were told that, we thought we're all going to get to go home. Not the first person from the Big Red 1 went home. What went home was the colors, the flags. That's what goes home, not the people. We were transferred to different places. And so for the last 3 to 4 months of my time, I was transferred to headquarters company in Benoit called 2 Field Force. And I was a clerk typist for 2 Field Force in headquarters company right across the road from the 90th Replacement Battalion where we came into country. So that was an interesting twist. And for there, that was a really difficult job that I had there typing, because I had to type up, I had to proofread and correct any errors in death reports. And that was really hard. And so I learned how the many different ways that young men died over there, and it wasn't always in combat. And so that's one of the things that sticks with me to this day. I have thoughts about that, and it's sad.
Had to have been hard.
It was very hard. So,
do you feel like your time in the service has benefited you in your later life, in your occupation?
Absolutely. The Army made a man out of me. It was just 2 years, but it made a man out of me. It instilled in me pride. It instilled in me truthfulness. You don't lie in the Army. You don't tell a lie to your drill sergeant. You don't do anything like that. And so it made me a man in that sense. It made me know I can withstand difficult times. You can go hungry, you can go cold, you can do a whole lot more than you think you can do, and the Army taught me that I can do that. I think it's carried me well in my work life, because I've always had a sense of honor and honesty in everything I've done. I still do. And so I thank the Army for that. And I want to see the Army go back to the way that it was with the training. I don't want to see it reduced because of political concerns of the day. I want it to be like it was in the 60s and 70s. They made real men. You got through your basic training, you were a real man. You could stand tall.
Would you recommend kids this day and time to go in?
I would. Like I said, my oldest son, he graduated from MTSU, and with his commercial airline pilot license, went into the Air Force as a second lieutenant, and after, he retired as a lieutenant colonel and flew F-16s. So, wow. Yes. And it's because of his career, because of his military, he is in terrific demand even to this day for his experiences. And so, yes, I would recommend the military.
Did the government pay for your education when you came
Yes,
home?
they did. I went to school on the GI Bill.
Were you mistreated when you came home?
Yes. When I got off the plane in Oakland, California, when we came back, it's very, very sad, and it happened to a lot of young men. There was people lined up calling you baby killers and stuff like that, and so, yes, was very much mistreated. But Tammy has helped with that a whole lot. Tammy McConnell, You know, there's things out there to help those men that suffered that kind of stuff. But as far as was I mistreated by the military? Never. The military has always been good to me. I have the highest regards for them.
We thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Certainly
I
do.
appreciate it. Thank you.
And we appreciate you coming here to do this interview.
Thank you. Hope I didn't embarrass anybody.
You did good. Thank you.
Thank you.